Hello and welcome to this Dynamicweb webinar. And today we have a tech talk about Razor in Dynamicweb. And my name is Mikkel Ricci, and I work as a developer evangelist at Dynamicweb. And I will today talk a bit about some of the new stuff we've made with Razor in Dynamicweb 8.3, and also talk a bit about some of the old stuff for some of you out there that haven't been working with Razor. And then I'll just show some examples we have created where we use Razor and items and a lot of the new cool stuff in Dynamicweb. And I hope you can all hear me out there, and if not, then please let me know by posting a question. So to get things started, I will start with this example website, razor.dynamicweb.dk, where we built some examples on how you can use items to do some nice stuff in Dynamicweb, and also to test out the Razor implementation in Dynamicweb. All the templates on this site are created using Razor. And everything on this site is shared on GitHub, all the templates and all the item definitions, so you can download these and put them on your own local solutions for testing and playing around. And I will just dive into some examples. On this example websites, we've created a blog, and just for the fun of it, I've created a blog post about the agenda for this talk today. First, something about how you use Razor in Dynamicweb. Some people will claim that Razor in Dynamicweb is not real Razor, and when they say that, they probably think about Razor in the model view controller context, and they're absolutely right. In that sense, we don't have real Razor in Dynamicweb, but we use the Razor engine for processing templates, and that's really cool. Just to let you know that some of the stuff you know from the old Dynamicweb HTML templates, like master page files and include and translate and snippets and stuff like that, when you use Razor in Dynamicweb, you have to use the same old well-known syntax for stuff like this. So we have the master page file, include and translate, and snippet start. So you have to remember that when you start using Razor, you should not be looking for some Razor way to do this, because right now you have to do it like this. We may make some changes and make it more Razor-like regarding syntax, but for now you just have to keep in mind that you will do this in the good old way. And I'll just run through this agenda right now, and then I will dive into some more details and show you some examples on how we are using Razor. Something new that's been released with the latest hotfix release that was published yesterday, that's 8.3.0.5, is that loops in loops finally work in Razor. We had some issues with this, and we apologize for you that run into problems with this, but now it should work, and nested loops in general work as well. I'll just show you an example to hopefully convince you that it actually works. I have a simple item publisher here where I just publish all the blog posts on this site, and this is the default item publisher template that we deliver with Dynamicweb in the default empty data template, and this is a Razor version. I'll just show this template in the backend, the file manager, item publisher list, and then we have it list.cshtml. So here you can see a basic Razor template where I use some of the convenience methods. We have the get boolean, get string, and get integer, and get date, and stuff like that, and a more general one called get value that will just return the value of whatever is in the tag. So I have get boolean here, and then I have a loop. Here I loop over the items in the item publisher list, and then inside this loop I loop over all the fields on each item. So now everything that should work in Razor works in Dynamicweb. And of course, on loop items inside these, we can also use the get value stuff here. this get value call down here is on the field that's in my loop item, and I have get value and have get boolean and get string and get integer and stuff like that on the loop items as well. So that's something that really makes it useful. And now you can start doing anything you can do in the old template system, you can also do now in Razor templates. And once again, here's the proof that it actually works. Okay, back to the agenda. I will not talk a lot about how you use Razor because you can read excellent articles about Razor and what the syntax is. So on this page, I've just collected a few links you can check out. There's one about introducing Razor, so basically how the syntax is, how you put these @ signs into your templates, and then by magic, Razor just figures out what you actually mean. So I recommend you take a look at that. And then there's if you really want to know what's going on behind the scenes when using Razor, then I can recommend this blog. It's some of the articles are have a few years old, but nevertheless they make sense, and they give a nice overview of how Razor actually works. Especially the dissecting Razor parts are really cool, where you can learn a lot about how you use Razor. For instance, to how you create helpers that are template methods you can use. And then this guy talks about what actually goes on behind the scenes, what the generated code looks like. And I think that's a really nice way to understand what's going on when you're using Razor. And I just should point out that you don't have to be concerned with this, but I think it's nice to know what's actually going on and how this magic is working. And there's another overview article about Razor. And then, of course, on our templates documentations, on our developer side, in the documentation part for designers, Nikolai has created a PDF document about the Razor syntax in Dynamicweb, where he shows how to go from the old syntax to the new syntax, and some of the stuff that you have to be aware of when using Razor in Dynamicweb. So take a look at that and play around with it. So now I will show you some examples from this test site or example site we've set up. So basically, we have a bunch of items in here for blogs and a news system and for a calendar event, and then all the templates are created as Razor templates. So just jump into the file manager. I've created a design called item-based modules. That's the one you can find on GitHub, along with an example database you can restore. You can just build your own website using the items. So, and I'm not an expert on Razor yet, but I'm trying a lot of stuff, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. And actually, we can do anything now in the front end, but we shouldn't do anything in the front end. So we shouldn't put a lot of business logic into our templates. So what I've done here is I've created some page templates for a blog, for instance. So that's the page template I'm using on this page when I show a blog post detailed. And then I have the list of blog posts, and this is an item publisher just publishing blog posts. And I will show you the template behind this that this item publisher uses. It's inside the design folder, item-based modules, item publisher list, and then it's called blog post list. And now when I show you, maybe some of you will laugh at me, but I'm just trying to learn this. So I've done a lot of stuff, and maybe I'm doing something that you could call business logic in the templates, but I can do it, and maybe I shouldn't be doing it, but I think it's fun to just play around with all the possibilities in Razor. So one of the first things I do is I include a couple of files that contain some Razor functions that I need. And just show you one of these. So in Razor, of course, you can create your own functions. So I've created in a file called navigation, where I have some utility functions for building URLs. So I have a function called build URL that returns a string. And what the basic idea behind build URL is that you can pass it a URL, or if you don't pass it a URL, it will use the current request URL, and then you can add add query parameters to that URL without having to do it yourself. You can just call this method and get a real query parameter string and the URL back. So that's just a helper method. Going back to the template, you see I have some variables I need. Then I've been playing around with creating an RSS feed in Razor. And this is actually a hack because I was trying to do it in a Razor way using helpers, but I couldn't get that to work. So I've been hacking this into the template, and I can just show it how it works. I have an RSS link up here. If I click that, I render exactly the same page, but now because I have the format set to RSS in the URL, then in my template, I'm cheating a bit, and then I say if request.format equals RSS, then I clear the response, and then I render an RSS channel, and then I print that to the response output stream, and then I end the response. So now I've created an RSS feed in a template, where I would usually have to create a custom module in Dynamicweb for doing this, or use some of the built-in modules that provides RSS feeds. But currently, the item publisher cannot publish RSS feeds, but now we can do it in the templates. I can just show you down here how this build URL function I showed you before, how it works. You call the build URL function down here with the query parameters you want to add to the query string. So here just say build URL and say that format should equal RSS, and that gives me this link with the page I'm on plus the format set to RSS. So that's a really nice thing you can do in Razor. And again, going back to this blog post list template, sorry. You can see I use the for each. Up here I get the posts, get loop. So I have a list of loop items that I can iterate over and do some stuff. And then I do a lot of stuff down here. I get the URL and I get the excerpt as the excerpt on the blog post itself. But if that excerpt is empty or does not exist, then I get the content. And then I again use Razor and the full .NET framework to have a regular expression that can strip tags from the content. And I do a lot of stuff in a template right now, and it's not maybe it's not a good idea to do it, but I'm just playing around, and I think you should play around and find out how to do it best. But apart from that, it's just a basic stuff. I use a Dynamicweb-based.md5 hash to string to get the the Gravatar URL from the author email. So it's really simple. And again, we see the old translate syntax for translating stuff like that. So and here we have the call to the get integer. So it's pretty basic, and you can. I think you should, if you have the time and you want to, you should take a look at a GitHub repository to see what is going on. I should put a link to the GitHub repository here. Otherwise, you can find it on the homepage. So here we are in GitHub in our repository called item-based modules, where I've made a few changes today. And here as you can see, I use a snippet to inject the RSS feed URL into the head of my page. That's a really cool thing that you can do. Down here, that just put a link in my page so that, for instance, Google Chrome can find out that there's an RSS feed on this page. If I go into my blog page, Google Chrome, I have installed some add-in on Google Chrome, then it finds out that there's actually an RSS feed on this page. So that's a really nice thing where I use the snippets for that. But apart from that, it's plain old Dynamicweb templates, just using a new syntax, and Razor gives you the possibility to do anything that you want to do in the templates. And something I'd like to mention as well is we've created on GitHub as well a Razor wiki where we will try to share some cool tricks. And you can see down here our friend Sten Hovgaard, he's very active on this wiki and is sharing a lot of cool examples and stuff that you can take a look at. And if you want to, it would be really nice if you have some really cool Razor trick or something that you use this wiki to share it with other people so they can learn from you. And of course, we have on GitHub as well. You're welcome to report issues and ask questions and stuff like that. So just jump back to this. So basically, that's what I'm going to say now. And I can see there's a lot of questions coming in. So I'll just I will not bore you with the details about how Razor works and how you should use it. I know a lot of you have already been playing around with it, and those of you that haven't, you should just start playing around with it. It's really easy to get started, and you can do a lot of really cool stuff, but you don't have to do a lot of stuff. Basically, it's just a new syntax for getting your template tags and getting your loops. So just before jumping into the questions, I'll just show you our list of upcoming webinars. You can see here that on November the 7th, I have the pleasure of talking to you again, and then I will talk about items. And items is something that we are really working on right now and making a lot of really cool improvements. So that's something we look forward to showing you. And of course, you have been using this a lot out there. So that's enough talking for me right now, and I will check out the questions to see what you want to ask me. We have a question here probably from a guy with insider knowledge. Is it still true that the template is passed twice? First time when the good old add constructor analyzed, and second time when the compilation from Razor view occurs. No, we only pass it once now. So basically, we pass it once and have Razor do its work, and then we do some stuff after Razor has passed the page, for instance, to resolve the snippets and stuff like that. But there's only one passing going on. And then there's a request from Sten Hovgaard about documentation. Yes, and we have to improve our documentation. We know, Sten, and we will improve it. And we have another question whether Razor templates are cached. Yes, we're caching the Razor templates, and we use the same. We use built-in Razor caching. The Razor engine can cache the templates, and of course we invalidate the cache whenever you change something in your Razor templates. So when you create a Razor template and you use it in the front end, then it will be cached. So you may experience the first time that you use a Razor template that the page is a little slower to load, but on subsequent requests, the following requests, the Razor template has been cached, and the rendering of the template is really, really fast. And we have another question regarding the performance of Razor templates. If we have any benchmarks in regards to how Razor-based templates perform comparing to normal templates, and we haven't made any real benchmarks, but we have some suspicion that Razor is really, really fast compared to the old template engine. Of course, it depends on how complex your templates are. But I talked with a partner that has had experienced a significant performance improvement just by changing a product details template into using Razor. So no, we don't have any benchmarks or any numbers to show you right now, but we will start converting some of our default templates into Razor and see if there's some performance gains. And we think there will be some performance gain on complex templates that uses a lot of loops and if statements and stuff like that. Then we have a question here. Yes, there's a question here with regarding Search V1, where an e-commerce result is given, and then this guy wants to get some values from the product, and this is possible using Razor. In Razor, you can do anything. If you have an IDE, for instance, a product IDE, then you can use the Dynamicweb e-commerce API to load the product, and then you can do anything you like with that product. Get the properties and get the groups and related products and everything you can do using the API. Okay, and here's something about associated groups. Uh, yeah, Sten, can I ask you to create a case for that? Rather, associated groups do not appear in Razor but does in HTML templates. We have to look into that. It's anything that's all loops and all tags that are available in the HTML templates should also be available in Razor. And then again, we have the question about performance. As I said before, we don't have any real performance test or benchmarks to compare the performance of Razor templates and old style templates, but we will start to doing some tests and see if there's a performance gain. And as I mentioned, there may be a performance gain in the more complex templates, whereas you may not experience a lot of performance gains in very basic templates. For instance, on paragraph templates that are usually very simple, we don't expect a lot of improvements performance-wise in those. But on product lists and for instance, in our solution set, we have some rather complex product list templates with a lot of ifs and loops and stuff like that, and we expect some improvements there. Then there's a question if our Razor template supports layout, and no, it doesn't, not right now. So basically, what our current Razor implementation in Dynamicweb is, it's the good old template tags and the loops that you can get your hand on using Razor syntax, but we don't support a lot of the other cool Razor stuff that's part of the model view controller stuff. But we are working on improvement, and I cannot give you any guarantees on what will happen and when it will happen, but we are thinking about doing some stuff to make it more MVC Razor like in the future. So that's all the questions. So are there any more questions? Yes, great. Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question from. Yes, is there a DW template tags in Razor? And the question is, no, there is not. But given the fact that you can do anything in Razor, you can actually use reflection to find out what values are available. And we have to think about how we do this because you shouldn't be using reflection. So we have an idea of creating some functions that you can call in your objects that are similar to DW template tags. I'll just yeah, and we should put. I can't remember if I put it on the Razor wiki, but there's some stuff I've been starting to use. I can just show you if I pull up some. If I pull up the blog post list. No, I'll take the log page. So this is a blog page, and I have the page template for this one. So I have a master page and stuff like that. And what you can do actually is that you can use. We have something called values. That's basically a collection of all the tags in the templates. So if I get the keys from that and convert it to an array, and then I call string.join. I don't need those. String.join that takes a string. I'll just put in a hard break. If I do stuff like that and just add a tree around it, then I reload the page. Then I have a list of all the available tags in Razor. So that's almost like DW template tags. And of course, you could expand that to loop over the values collection and emit the values as well. So you can do it now yourself, but of course you shouldn't be required to do that. So we will think about how we can do it. And I know on our wiki, Razor wiki, Sten Hågaard has been playing around with reflection to automatically generate some documentation, and we could actually put stuff like that into the Dynamicweb Razor engine, so you can just on the fly ask any object, get the properties and get the loops and stuff like that that are available, and just pass any object. For instance, if you have a product, you can pass it to some function called show properties or something like that, and then you will on the page in the front end you can see what properties you can access on the object. So I'll just move on to the next question. Yeah, can you show us how you would get a product name via Razor? Yes, I'll just have to jump into and now I'm back on my local machine and I can show you how to do it. I just have to make sure that I actually have a product. I'll just find a product here. There's something called ham. Yummy. Just check the product ID. That's product 220. And then because I can, I'll just jump into my item publisher template. Doesn't make sense, but I can do anything in Razor, and now I will do something that's not a really good thing to do in Razor, but I will do it anyway. I'll just have to find my product list. So now we are in the item publisher. I have the list. Now we'll edit this. So I'll just put so it was prod 27. I'll just put that in just to check that it's the correct template I'm in. Yeah, so now we have it. So then hopefully I can remember this. So product is dynamic web e-commerce products product.get product by ID, and then I put in the product ID as a string, of course, and then I can show product.name. If I've gotten the syntax correct, then it will work. Otherwise, Razer will complain. Yeah, there's a typo. It's product. Of course it is. So now down here we have the name of the product, and of course I can get the variant ID as well. Yeah, so it doesn't have a. So that's basically this one line of code gives you the product. So I hope that answers your question. And then there's a question about HTML parser and stuff like that. And we don't have something similar to that. The only thing that we have right now is the good old include tags. So you can put your Razer stuff into include files and include them. But we don't have some of the more fancy Razer stuff for now. Maybe we'll add that at a later point, but I don't know right now. And then there's a question about if you can import your namespaces to Razer using the web config. And currently you cannot do that, but we have to find a way for you to do that. So I hope I understand the question correctly. It's in real Razer applications, model view control application, you can add some new namespaces to your Razer templates, so you don't have to write using. And now, so right now I have to use using my Razer stuff dot something, and you have to write this in all your Razer files that are using stuff from custom functions or whatever you've created inside this namespace. So you have to do it like this right now in all the template files, Razer template files, where you use your custom namespaces. But we have to find a way to do this, and it may be in the web config or some setting in some global setting where you can specify a list of imports or something. We don't know right now, but we are aware about us having an issue with that. And then we have a question here if it's possible to put breakpoints in templates for debugging. That's a really good question. Actually, I don't know the answer to that question, but we have to. It should be possible because it's code, but Razer templates are generating code on the fly, so it may not be very useful debugging information you get. But I don't know the answer to that question right now. And there's a question if Razer templates can be used to replace Xslt for menus. Well, not. You still have to use Xslt for menus unless you want to do a lot of coding in Razer. But I've been playing around with using helper methods in Razer, and helper methods are basically functions that uses razor templates in the body, and using those you can create recursive functions. And whenever you render menu, you need to be able to recurse through your page tree. But I haven't tried it myself. But it should be possible to load. You have all the pages in the page tree in some in a hash table, basically in Dynamicweb, and you should be able to create razor helpers that will render all the pages and then call itself on the subpage to render a hierarchical menu. So the quick answer is yes, of course you can do that, because you can do anything in Razor, but it's not a very useful answer. But we have to find out if it can be done. And there's another question: if I can pass a model to include, and I assume you mean you want to define the model that you're using in your view, or in your Razor template. And unfortunately, you cannot do that right now. But again, we're thinking about how to do that, because that's something that you should be able to do. Some workaround right now that's getting you some of the way is that you can actually just put a tag into your template if you're creating custom code, and then you can use the set tag value method. That's a new method we've created on a template object, and you can use that to inject any object into the template. So back in the day, in the regular HTML templates, all the tag values were converted to a string value to some extent. Dates were converted into strings in using some string formats and stuff like that. But in Razor, we have the actual values that are passed into the template set tag methods. So you can do stuff like that. I'll just show it here again. It's a hack, but it can work if, for instance, I have let's say this is a product list. Then you can do stuff like that. This get value, and then some custom tag that you've set. You can get this as a Dynamicweb product collection. So you can do something like this. It's not a real model you have, but then you have the possibility to inject some object you want to use in your template into the template and use it like this. So that's the best we can do right now. And then there's a question about IntelliSense in Visual Studio, if it works or if it's still broken. I'm not aware that it has ever been broken, but we have to work on this. And I've been playing around with using Visual Studio for editing Razor, and I've also been playing around with using the Mono Developer program to do it. But I'm not sure that it works right now, but we will make it work, so you can get some help creating your Razor templates. So that was a lot of really good questions and a lot of us to take a look at. So are there any more questions? No, that seems like we're all out of questions. So thank you for